I'm trying to find opportunities to talk about topics that are outside of our normal software startup land. And all right, so here's just a random thing that I've been thinking about lately, right? Like I have, in terms of news consumption, news diets, right?
Yeah.
I know you're a fellow news junkie like I am.
Right.
You're much more public about it on Twitter than I'm willing
Right.
to. There's so many like political tweets and stuff that I end up deleting
Yeah.
and don't put out there. But
Right. It's probably better.
all right, so I've been a paying subscriber to the New York Times for many years now, and for me, I do follow a lot of news outlets, but I think that's the only one that I actively pay for.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, more and more, I've been feeling like, not that I'm going to unsubscribe from the Times, but it's not fulfilling the job to be done for me anymore. Like I feel like I need to expand the range of news that I'm consuming. You know, most people are like, oh, I need to quit news for a while. It's too much. I'm not looking to get more news. I'm just looking for more variety of opinion, I think. And I think there was a time a couple years back where they still hate on the Times, but everyone, you know, for a long time have like, oh, NYT is way leaning left and they're so biased and all this stuff. And I didn't really buy into that for so long. Like, you could make your arguments about the opinion writers, but I mean the actual news.
Right.
You know, I'm like, no, there's still some of the best journalists in the world. And if you want to find out what's happening in the world, you look at the front page of the New York Times. Like, that's been my attitude. But I feel like in recent times, that's less and less true. And they're like major world happenings or just things that should be reported on that are not making it into the front page of the New York Times, and that I think should, you know.
Yeah.
And it just has me thinking, like, what am I missing? What should I be expanding into? Anyway, the question that I have for you is, like, what does your news diet kind of look like these days?
Well, all right. Well, in terms of things we pay for the Times and the Washington Post, and the Atlantic, I think. And I would say, like, the Times, the main draw of the Times, actually, my wife loves to read the physical paper on the weekends. So we get the Sunday Times.
Getting the hands dirty.
She is in there reading the paper, old school style. But then obviously it lets you like read online or whatever. Like, I don't ever really go to the homepage of NewYorkTimes.com or anything like that. Or even the Washington Post. I mean, I think the two main like ongoing sources would be just Twitter people I follow. I mean, I follow enough political people and news people that I feel like,
yeah.
I mean, Twitter is still like the fastest way to get news.
Yeah, I follow
like
a
there's
bunch
nothing
there,
faster
too,
than
yeah.
Twitter. And then I actually really like, and this is like, you know, I don't know, I'm sure people have strong feelings on this possibly, but I really like Google News. Like, I actually think Google News does a pretty good job of like,
so it's like curating different feeds.
yeah, like if you go to news.google.com, I think it is, like they just curate, and you know, they're tracking your butt all over the place, so like they know what you're reading and everything, but then they're feeding you like, I think they do a good job of like showing you other types of things. Like, they're definitely showing you the stuff it knows you're interested in, but I do think you get like, here's often like on a big story, there's like the main one, but then there's like multiple other sublinks to different news outlets and things,
Yeah.
and then there's topics which I would never have searched out, which it shows like usually farther down. So like,
I thought about getting
where I'll
into
scroll through.
Like, I never started using Apple News, which I guess is a similar concept
Right.
to that. They sort of
I didn't really
curate,
got
but
into that either. I don't know. It was also hard to share links from it or something. Like, it always links to Apple News links, and I find they don't work or something. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But
yeah, I mean,
haven't
I
gotten
sometimes
to that,
check
but
the
it's
headlines
similar.
on the Washington Post. The ones that I make the daily rounds are like, I do go through basically the homepage of the New York Times and rabbit hole into different places from there. And then Axios is the other one that I read a
Axios
lot.
is good.
I really like the format, how they do like the bullet points and very
I really
concise.
like the format.
But I also like that, like, and I'm sure many people on the right or conservative would disagree with this, but like, I find them to be pretty close to center down the middle, like just the facts, just give me the
I agree.
news, you know? And that's what really turns me off about like That's where I
But
become.
people don't want that, right? Like,
Yeah,
the
I know.
reality is people don't want that.
I mean,
like,
yeah,
that's
it's
the
true
reality.
that like
that's the unfortunate.
It's
thing.
like the reality is I in terms of reading the New York Times, I spend most of my time there reading opinions, right?
Right.
But then that's where I feel like I'm missing the real big picture on all the major stuff going on. Like other ones that I'm interested in now are like I'm reading the Morning Brew more than I used to, the newsletter, which I'm sure they just curate from all the major news, but like that too feels like a little bit down the middle.
Yeah, Bloomberg. I actually really like.
Bloomberg was the other one that I don't
newsletter. That's pretty good. So you have to be a paying member.
I'm not a paying member on there, and that's the one that I was looking at actually this week. Like if I'm going to pick up a new subscription, like Bloomberg might be the one where it's like it sort of gives me like a different balance of what I'm getting from New York Times. You know.
Yeah, no, the Bloomberg newsletter. That's like a morning and evening newsletter. I think they do is super good. Like because it's like just a paragraph on like 3 paragraphs with like each one's like the top story, a top story type thing, and then other stuff in there, and that does a really good job too. I really like that a lot.
How about like tech news? Like what are you following?
I mean,
just
I just
whatever.
like follow Twitter. Like I mean, I don't really follow too much.
You know what I do pay for?
I'm following everybody on Twitter who I'm interested in the tech I'm interested in. So I'm kind of like I don't really go other places for that.
I am a fan of reading John Gruber's blog. I don't agree with his opinions on everything, and he's like a super like Apple Apple obsessed journalist, I guess. But him and Ben Thompson, who runs Stratechery, he's awesome. Yeah.
He's the other thing I subscribe to. See, if I knew I was gonna have a list of subscriptions, Ben Thompson.
The two of them like about
to subscribe to that. That's like amazing.
I don't think that I subscribe to Stratechery, but I subscribe to their podcast.
Okay.
Their paid podcast, Dithering. Yeah. And that's pretty cool. It's like I think it's like twice a week, exactly 15-minute episodes, just talking about like whatever the main the major tech story is this week.
Tech stuff. Yeah. No, cool. If you're interested in the tech, like Stratechery or however he says it, I don't know. The name is horrible, but he's the best. Like the analysis is
deep dive
articles, so good. Like it exposed me to all kinds of interesting things. So definitely do that, and that's just pure tech.
Where are you at on like television? Like are you like anti news?
No, television news. No, not really doing too much TV news. I do like. I have that old man nostalgia for like just throw me some Peter Jennings for half an hour at night. Like that would be great, but I don't know. It doesn't really exist anymore, and it kind of doesn't fit into modern life exactly. For like at 6:30, we're all sitting there and we're gonna watch Peter Jennings. So, I don't know.
I've definitely moved away. Years ago, I was a junkie for all things politics and all that. I still follow it, but like I've definitely become a lot more turned off by mainstream television news. So like MSNBC, CNN, Fox, I'm just not in that camp. I can't watch that show.
Right.
but the
no, but even the other ones are sort of unwatchable from a like not necessarily extremist perspective, but even just like there's something about the format that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, and just anything that is so clearly like you're preaching to the choir is not interesting to me at all. Anything after whatever 7 or 8 p.m. at night is not. I mean, I don't have cable anymore, but in terms of like getting that stuff is like not
shows.
Yeah, the opinion shows.
Yeah.
But
plus, I feel like that's where I feel like Twitter has replaced all that for me. Like I get everybody's opinion. I hear everybody's opinion. Both sides. Like
you know what though? There are
Twitter a few times a day. I got it. Like
there are some television shows that I think still do a good job of this. Like I do. Tune in to Real Time with Bill Maher like almost every week.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. And there's going to be people who are like, oh, I hate that guy or that show or whatever. But I feel like that is one of the few shows where he actively invites opposing opinions to a table to legitimately like debate a topic. I feel like there's just it's kind of crazy to me how how little of that there is on television and podcasts and whatever else.
Well, that's like they're not going to even have debates at the presidential election.
That's insane
time.
to me, you know. And,
like,
and
no
even
debates. We're not having any debates anymore. Just hash it out on Twitter.
It's just insane. Like just if you believe in an opinion, as everyone obviously does, why don't you go fight it out, you know, and try to win the argument. Like I don't know why that is not a more popular thing, you know.
Because it's all about like, it's not about like collaborating to the best solution, which ultimately even a debate is sort of theoretically about, right? It's just about like, you have your talking points that are known to work and against the targets, your targets, which are your constituency, and you don't want anything to risk being off message, right? Your message is, obviously Trump had very specific messages, right, about who's bad and what they're doing wrong and all that stuff, and like, what's the point of opening that up and letting even those people hear another perspective? Like, you want to just keep them in the echo chamber. So, I mean, I think it makes total sense from the diabolical minds that are involved.
Like a strategic political mind.
Right,
I sort of get it, but at the same time, it's like...
Is it good for the country? No, it's not good.
Yeah, and I actually do think that, like, it turns off... I don't know if there's actual polls to reflect this, but, like, I think that there's a growing middle of the road voter. I feel like I'm very much in that camp, and I'm like gettable from somebody who can make an argument, but like and then I get turned off by the extremes on both sides, right? So, and I feel like if these parties actually start to try to bring the argument to the middle, and like that would there's
the problem is that that's not how the structure of the parties, like the primaries and stuff, are not built around any of that, right? The primaries are not built around the middle. They're literally built around the extremes, because they're built around the people who will vote on May 14th in an off year for some random dude like that, like when nobody's paying attention, and that's going to be the like fringe elements a lot. And so I think that's why it's all kind of got leveraged up here in large part, because the system is not built for that kind of nuanced discussion or middle ground and stuff.
Yeah. The only other, well, I guess I watch like the Daily Show more for like news that's sort of like entertaining. But the only other TV thing that I watch is The Circus on Showtime.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
You know John Heilman? So he produces it. It's him.
Okay.
And like 3 other hosts, I forgot their names, but it's like 2 that are like left wing, 2 that are more right wing, and they all co-host. And basically, it's not like an opinion show, but they're just sort of like reporting on the big stories this week, and then they talk to both Democrat and Republican and other people involved. Like again, it's like, and it's really, really well produced in terms of like the cinematography and the way that they put it together. It's pretty cool, but like. It's just like one of the few things where it's like, wow, you actually hear opposing. Like, I'm not going to agree with half the things that are talked about here, but it's at least I'm exposed to it, you know.
Yeah, no, it's hard because it's also like, I mean, like, if people who follow my Twitter feed probably think I'm quite far left, but I'm actually really not. Like, in my actual opinions, I'm actually not that far left.
Yeah.
But I am like very far left in terms of like, I'm very opposed to Donald Trump, so like that comes off as a certain perspective, but that doesn't mean like I might have more nuanced positions on fiscal policy or abortion even, or all kinds of things. But like, so there is this also this element right now of like,
I'm the same way. Like I've in my life I've tended to vote left, but I find myself now, especially in the last couple of years, more and more like just disagreeing with more of the policies and people on the left, but I'm still in a place where like there's no world where I can vote for the GOP. That's just not going to happen. Like,
it does feel like there should be some options,
because they've gone off the edge of the cliff. Whereas like on the right, on the left, they're becoming a little bit more crazy, but still in the realm of sanity. But this is where I get where I'm like, I'm gettable. Like, because if any of the sane Republicans were to break off,
ran somebody normal, sure, right, yeah.
Or no, but I mean, like if they were to break off, and I know a third party is like impossible in this country, but like if that were to gain traction, I'm in that, I'm the market that they could get, and I feel like there's a lot of people here, Um,
yeah, but the thing is, it's all sort of been structured so that they don't need you. Like that's
right.
the thing, right? Like they win without majorities.
Do they?
So
I mean, do they win?
They haven't.
I don't know.
They haven't.
There's Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have overwhelming efforts to kind of outdraw them. So hopefully that happens in areas, especially around Trump. But yeah, no, I agree. Like I totally think that there's. It seems impossible that it could be like this forever, like ongoing for a long time. But maybe it can be. I don't know. I do think it's like been a huge loss in terms of news to like. When you had, and I'm sure like they weren't straight news people, but like ultimately like when
everyone agreed on what the facts are,
Yeah, like it's like if Dan Rather and Peter Jennings and the other guy Brokaw, they're all kind of giving you the same thing, and they're trying to at least play it sort of straight. And I'm sure they had their biases and blah, but like everybody watched that. Everybody had a similar set of facts, and then you could go to like your opinion places to get the opinions, and there was always magazines or whatever, like where people could get their stronger opinions, and that's fine. But you could kind of operate off a core set of facts, whereas like without the core set of facts, it's just a freaking free for all. So,
and just like a different set of, like, yes, we might disagree on certain on like whatever tax policy or foreign policy, but like that's just our opinions on that. It's not like life and death the way that it seems like it is today, Anyway. For the few people who are still tuning into this political chatter on this like sort of business podcast, maybe
I like a podcast that wanders from its core premise. Like, you can't have it be too on the nose.
That's literally why I named this thing Open Threads for that purpose. Right. It can go in any direction. So that's what this is.
No, I listen to very few podcasts that are like, this is what we talk about every single. I basically listen to none except for the rewatchables because I love movies, and even that.
Nice.
It's kind of different every time.
Is that the thing from like Bill Simmons and all that?
Yeah, Bill Simmons.
Yeah. There you go.
That's the best podcast out there.
And you know what? That's another news. I do read The Ringer, just the website, just to get like random like it's so funny how they mix culture. They mix like culture and TV with like NBA news. Like like that's like the whole site,
Yeah, I mean that's kind of genius, right? You figured out that like those groups overlap heavily, and it's worked.
Yeah,
he got bought for $200 million, right? So, he did
well, hey, Ian, it's great to kind of ramble about random stuff here.
I love it.
Have to have you back on, and we'll figure out some other random topic to cover.
I'm always available to talk about nothing. Just let me know.
Awesome.
All right, thanks.